I'm going to show you how to warp or set up the FAO Schwarz loom. These are from Amazon and I think they cost about $20, so if you like them, maybe you'll want to ask for one for Christmas or your birthday or something like that. To get started on warping it, you're going to need yarn, scissors, and 2 pieces of tape. On one piece of tape, make sure that you've written your name, last name, and section so that you can find your loom again. You can just set those off to the side. Let's talk for a second about what yarn to use to set it up and what yarn not to use. You really want to use yarn that's plain and a little bit on the thin side. Don't use yarn that's fluffy or fuzzy or really thick and chunky or especially like loopy or something, because that kind of yarn will make it difficult to set up and use the loom. So once you've got your plain yarn to use, you'll start warping the loom. Warp is setting up the lines that go this way. The lines that go this way in the loom, the first ones that you set up, those are called the warp. The other ones that you go over, under with, those are the weft. So to set up your warp, first you need to make sure that this bar is in the correct position. So to do that, you're going to need to twist it clockwise if it's not already in the correct position to make the little red knob go in. Once the little red knob is in, that will make sure that there's a big open space here between the front bar with the grooves and this red bar. That part's super important, so don't forget to do it, because that space at the end will be really important to help you get your weaving off of the loom. So now let's get started. I'm going to grab my piece of tape with my name on it and some yarn. You want to make sure that you leave about that much off of the loom when you first start. Start right here on the bottom left side. That'll be your first little notch that you go through. And put your piece of tape right here. Press it down nice and hard so it sticks real good for you. And then it's super easy. This bar right here, you're going to take your string, put it through the bar, around the back. Use your fingernails to make sure that it goes all the way in through the little teeth back here. And it goes down into that groove. And then back up through the next one. Oops. You'll need to use your fingernails, like I said, to make sure it goes where it's supposed to. And once you're putting it in those teeth, you can see why you don't want to use chunky fat yarn or loopy yarn, because it would just kind of get stuck and it wouldn't fit in the grooves as nicely. So you go ahead and put it in all these teeth. Oops. And make sure that you don't skip any of them. It takes a while to get the hang of it, but once you've got it, it goes faster. These looms are a lot of fun to use because they let you weave really quickly. That bar, the square-shaped bar here, it actually raises and lowers the warp strings for you. So the up, down, or over, under pattern is actually done for you by the loom. Now when you're warping the loom, it's also really important that you don't cut your yarn off of the ball of yarn or the spool of yarn that you're using, because you might not cut enough. So always leave it on there and just start warping with the loose end so you can use as much as you need to, instead of cutting it before you use it. Got a bit of a knot here. These yarns came from, or the, not the yarn, the looms came from Donors Choose. So we have some friends online that are looking out for us, and they have helped get us these awesome looms on Donors Choose. And we need to send them a thank you package. They also bought some of our new yarn. So you can see what all this looks like back here if you've done it correctly. And now we're finished, and that's what it looks like in front if you've done it correctly. Now I can use the second piece of tape right there. And again, when you cut it, make sure you leave a kind of a nice long tail, just like on that one. And that is how you warp the loom. When you have warped your loom, go ahead and stop the video and warp yours, and when you're done, you're ready to watch the next video.